Kenya has a promising potential for power generation from renewable sources of energy. And as we'll find out in this particular episode, solar energy, which is mainly an option in rural electrification, is now transforming lives in the urban centers. Welcome to the program. This is the Chamwada Report. I'm your host, Elijah Mwangi. Coming up in this program,
the small skills or innovations that we are doing on renewable energy, they are really something that will solve the energy use and efficiency within the household level.
More lights will be coming into the small villages and towns, and that way there'll be light in Kenya.
Find out what young people in the informal urban settlement are doing to make sure that the residents there have a bright future, literally.
Back there I can go and show them the skills that I have now, and it will be a very good experience to them.
Zile material tunatumia, most of them ni vitu unaweza pata, hata zingine unapata zimedampiwa.
It means that you can get now a cleaner environment.
And looking at the Kenya's renewable energy sector, what are the hits and misses? We have expert view on that.
When we look at the bigger picture in terms of developing countries and Africa in particular, sub-Saharan Africa in particular, we are still lagging behind.
Now, Kenya hosts some of the largest projects when it comes to production of renewable energy. On that note, let's have a look at how Kenya is lighting the way.
The energy sector in Kenya is largely dominated by petroleum and electricity, with wood fuel providing the basic energy needs of the rural communities, urban poor, and the informal sector.
If you look at the people using biomass, it's more than 82%. People who rely on firewood, people who rely on charcoal, and they all rely on about 85% of energy from trees and other biomass sources. Now, if you look at that matrix, it shows you that we need also to look at alternative sources of energy.
On alternative sources of energy, an estimated 200,000 rural households in Kenya have solar home systems. This success has been largely due to private sector activity. Experts have argued that the government needs to actively promote the use of solar energy for off-grid electrification.
Once you tell me don't do chuckling, then are you giving me an option of livelihoods? One of the ways the government can look at it is to look at maybe introducing them to business of solar lanterns.
The non-renewable sources of energy have adversely affected the environment and have enormously contributed to climate change. Richard Munang, the coordinator of Ecosystem-Based Adaptation for Food Security Assembly in the UN, paints a picture of what farmers can save by embracing solar energy.
Farmers are using solar power to power their irrigation. And this is not only saving them $10,000 a year, but as a result of this, they're also making up to about $30,000 as a result of utilizing clean energy sources. And more so, because they're using solar power irrigation, they're saving 1.9 billion liters of water, which could have been wasted and put more pressure on the ecosystems.
Other forms of renewable energy that Kenya is yet to fully exploit include wind energy, biogas, as well as geothermal power.
Kenya is one of the world leaders in geothermal energy production, which is considered as clean or green energy because its carbon footprint on the environment is minimal. With the change of climate in many parts of the country, Kenyans have turned to utilizing solar as a form of renewable energy.
So now the best part in Kenya is that most of the people who see the solar lamps in every street you go and put, people are willing to learn. So that way, if they're taught, more and more lights will be made by themselves, and this will be better on their side. So they'll utilize they'll get skills from learning from how to build it. On the other hand, more lights will be coming into the small villages and towns, and that way there'll be light in Kenya.
Experimentation with solar lighting is fast expanding into broader use of renewable power for businesses in Africa. This paints an optimistic picture that such systems will bring power to more than 600 million people living in Africa without access to electricity.
In Kenya, for example, the electricity access is between 40 to 50%, meaning that 20 million Kenyans are still relying on kerosene.
Africa in general and Africans have a substantial shortfall in energy. So renewable energy, including solar PV, is a reliable and easily available opportunity to address this existing gap in energy access. Now, Kenya has had a long history of solar energy use, and I would say that out of all the countries we've gone, Kenya is where solar energy is used the most.
Until recently, solar power has been elusive to many Kenyans because of the cost of initial installation. To address this, UN Habitat has developed a hands-on training on energy efficiency and renewable energy for youth empowerment to provide practical knowledge transfer on clean energy. The training targets young people because they are generally up to 3 times more likely to be unemployed than adults.
We've been through to several African countries. It's been conducted in Nairobi. The next one was conducted in, we've gone to Bujumbura. We've done the training in Dar es Salaam. We've done it in Yaoundé, that's Cameroon. And we've done it in Abuja, Nigeria.
For the time being, we have been very keen to select who we want to train and also which facility to host our training. We are here at the Vocational Training Center. This is already a center that is providing vocational training session to the young guy. Most of them come from slum, from the poor urban neighborhood that are here, they are school dropouts. So we are giving them that skill because we know that there is a market opportunity outside there.
Although Kenya seems to be on the right track, energy experts argue that there is a big room for improvement. A significant increase in the country's energy supply is necessary in order to keep up with the demand and continue to increase per capita electricity consumption.
Africa as a whole, sub-Saharan Africa as a whole, although we are consuming, I mean, when I say sub-Saharan Africa, I'm removing Northern Africa and South Africa. All these countries are consuming, that is 950 million people. They are consuming the equivalent of power that just one city in America, Alabama, 4 million people are consuming. So basically, this is where we are. Because the existing energy infrastructure is aging, is not capable of connecting many people, and also the supply is very low.
Solar uptake outside there in the society is still at very low level. I would not say that people don't like solar energy, but I would say the awareness is still very minimal. So it is the question of us who are now stakeholders in this particular sector to create enough awareness, especially among the households, the local poor person who is really affected by the use of kerosene on a daily basis. Because this is a person who economically and health-wise is affected mostly. So if we create enough products, for instance, at the household level of this local mwananchi, then they will be able to understand, instead of using kerosene, which is also polluting the room and a health risk, maybe this cleaner energy solution is far much better economically and health-wise.
Historically, Kenya has been dependent on hydroelectric sources of energy, but the fact is that the country is becoming increasingly vulnerable to climate change, and the reliability of hydroelectric as the primary energy source is insecure.
But there is something that has been happening in the last 4 years, 5 years. There is what we call the renewable energy revolution that is coming to Africa. In 2009, only 1 million people in sub-Saharan Africa were connected to the solar system, 1 million. And today, as I speak, there are like 9 to 10 million people, household in Africa that relied on solar energy. So you can already see just in the last 7 years, we moved from 1 to 9. And as more as we go, I mean, the development is really is peaking, is taking. There is an uptake use on renewable energy.
At this point, we take a short break, but don't go far, still to come.
This is electronics, whereby we don't have any shortcut and we don't have any magic.
And you can make this using locally available materials.
Welcome back to the program. In case you are just joining us, today we are looking at solar as a renewable form of energy. This is a class at Skills Center in Mala here in Machakos County. And the students basically are learning how they can make some of the equipment that they can use to tap the solar energy. I'm talking about solar lanterns, solar street lamps, as well as solar bottle bulbs. So let's have a look at how we can make some of this equipment from the locally available materials.
Are you done? Can I confirm?
It's one of those days when young people in Mala, Machakos County, are being introduced to solar lantern technology and getting solar lantern assembly hands-on training thanks to Skills Center and UN Habitat. After working in Mathare slums for many years, Jimmy Kilonzo, the director Skills Center, saw the need to establish a vocational training center to address the problem of unemployment amongst the young people, especially in the informal urban settlement.
It is an institution to empower young people with practical skills. Practical skills in welding, mechanic, electrical installation, solar photovoltaic, because renewable energy is becoming the new way of doing things in this country.
Important to note is that besides being a vocational training center, Skills Center has embraced solar technology and the institution runs on solar power. John Schwabe is an electrical instructor at the Skills Center. He explains to us how they have managed to tap solar energy using 28 solar panels installed in the institution.
From the panel, the voltage we have connected in phase 1, because they are 28, we have connected 14 in series each. Then the final result we have connected in parallel to this inverter. This inverter is called as Sunboy, as you can see. So from the solar panel, it enters to the charge controller. The function of this charge controller is to protect the batteries from overcharge, and also, yes, from overcharge. You know that when the battery is overcharged, it is destroyed. In our school, we use so many machines which uses a lot of energy. So we have installed around 24 batteries in the phase 1, and also phase 2 we have installed 24. These are not self-maintenance, but these one are self-maintenance. So this is water, solar water heater. As you have seen up there, we have 4 of them, which are used to heat water in the daytime. So when the water is pumped, it is pumped by this pump, this one. So it pumps the water. This is the pump. So when the water is pumped to our tank, to our storage in that other room, it is also pumped by this pump to the solar water heater up there. When the water is heated, it comes down and be stored in this tank. So a day we can approximately generate around 8-point-something kilowatts in a day when the sun is very bright. We normally use it for one, lighting. Lighting is the first priority. Secondly, we use it for machines like grinder. We use in drilling. We use them in power saw, and also the welding machines.
Well, that's how Skills Center taps the solar energy for their everyday use. Time now to learn how to make solar lanterns, solar bottle bulbs, and solar street lamps. We start with the solar lanterns, but why the solar lanterns, one may ask. In East African countries, 80% of the population rely on kerosene lamps and candles for lighting. Around 15% to 20% of these families' income is spent on kerosene, making the use of kerosene lamps a significant burden. For that reason, about 10 million people in Africa have switched from kerosene lamps to solar lanterns. Time to get practical. And here is what you need to assemble a solar lantern. The materials of making a solar lantern are readily available from local electronics and hardware stores. To assemble a solar lantern, a 20 centimeters long PVC pipe is required. The PVC housing holds the battery and all the lantern's electronic components. The electronic components, including the regulator, capacitor, diodes and resistors, are mounted on the circuit board.
For you. If you know you've taken the instructions correctly, then do it.
Holes are drilled in the PVC pipe to accommodate the switch, inlet jack from the solar module and LED indicators that will display the state of the battery. 2 circular boards of the cardboard are then cut out and fixed. The pieces of the cardboard will be used to seal the lantern's PVC housing. The battery and the circuit board with the components are soldered and placed inside.
After the battery, we get the fuse. Even in case there's a problem, the fuse has to blow off.
If a 1-watt LED is to be used, an aluminium heatsink is mounted on the piece of the cardboard that is used to seal the top of the lantern's PVC housing.
I think my lantern is ready. Maybe we are going to sell it tomorrow or on Monday in the market.
And that's the process of assembling a solar lantern. When fully charged, it produces light for 4 to 5 hours and can be used to charge accessories, including mobile phones.
We understand the easiest system people use, they prefer sometimes candles, which you understand sometimes the flame is dim, this lantern thing, and bearing in mind that most rooms are small, then the smoke or the congestion, so that environment is not so friendly. But if you can use these machines, it means that you can get now a cleaner environment.
Next, we look at assembly of solar bottle bulbs, also known as liter of light, an innovative way of providing light in houses that are not well lit, especially in slums. To assemble a solar bottle bulb, cut approximately 30 centimeters by 30 centimeters of corrugated iron sheet and then cut a circle about 2 millimeters smaller than the circumference of the bottle you intend to use to make the solar bottle bulb. The bottle is then slotted into the hole. The plastic bottle is then filled with water and small quantity of bleach is added to the water to prevent growth of algae.
1 bottle top of jig should be enough to protect your bottle bulb.
The solar bottle bulb is then mounted on the roof.
Now this is normally done on roofs that are made of corrugated iron sheet.
And therefore, a circular hole equal in size to the bottom of the bottle is cut in the roof. Sealant is applied to the roof to make connection with the entire corrugated iron sheet holding the solar bottle bulb watertight.
When the sunlight hits the water, it is refracted, which means it's diffused in different directions. Yeah? What this does is that it produces light that goes in multiple directions, omnidirectional. So you end up with a light that is equivalent of a 40-watt incandescent bulb.
Once installed, the solar bottle bulb is estimated to continue producing light for a period of 2 years before having to be replaced.
End up having light to complete their tasks during the day without having to resort to switching on the lights or switching or lighting kerosene lanterns. So it's actual savings made by families on their household budgets.
The LED is lighting.
The making of solar street bulbs, solar lanterns and solar bottle bulbs are perfect initiatives in line with Sustainable Development Goal number 7, which focuses on access to affordable, reliable, sustainable and modern energy for all.
Bearing in mind that almost 99% of the materials we use are locally available. So it means that they will produce using very cheap input in relation to what we have in the market. Then the price will be a bit competitive. Then in that level, there will be that scenario of maybe sales and modification of repairs to those already broken. Because still, we can get a lot of parts from those which are in so many households which needs repair.
Zile vitu nimelan kuwa kuleta light kwa hao ni cheap na ni rahisi, na zile vitu tunaleta nazo ziko safe. Itakuwa ati ni story na koroboi kuletea moshi kwa hao.
It's no doubt that Kenya must scale up the renewable energy program's investment plan, which seems to be more sustainable on this day and era. And that marks the end of our show. Thank you so much for watching the Chamwada Report. My name remains Elijah Mwangi. Bye-bye for now, and God bless.